So first up, I'd love to bring Julia Easton from Curtin University up. Julia leads the Curtin for Agribusiness Profitability Initiative in the Centre for Crop Disease Management, CCDM. She's part of the senior leadership team for analytics for the Australian grains industry with AAGI, Aggie. And I've known Julia for a long time, since her GRDC days. Fantastic researcher. We're really lucky to have her around in WA. She'll also be joined by Clint Delabosca, who I've also known for a long time. Not that he's old or I'm old, but he's a Southern Cross farmer, and he'll be coming up to speak about how this applies to him on his farming business. I'll say thank you, and then we'll bring the other two special speakers up. So welcome these people.
Thanks, everybody. And it's very weird because the picture of the lupin pre-breeding work that's up there from 20 years ago was my first entrance into the grains industry in a project at UWA, so that's kind of weird. But I'm here to talk about an innovation grant that was funded by the Drought Hub, so thank you very much for that opportunity. We've been working around developing next generation agribusiness analytics, and this particular component has been focused on capacity building. So capacity building in our data scientists, our statisticians, and our GIS researchers for agricultural challenges. So bringing capability in from other domains into ag. Capacity building and co-designing with farmers and agronomists, so helping us develop solutions to answer management questions, working with farmers and agronomists to help them make decisions, but also use robust evidence-based decisions, and using profitability as a core tool for the adoption of data for decisions. So as part of a much larger program in the CCDM, as part of the Curtin for Agribusiness Profitability Initiative, as Julianne said before, and the innovation grant has been developed. The innovation in this grant has been the development of a research dashboard for visualising within paddock variation and co-innovation on farm with farm businesses and industry professionals. And I'm just wondering if Finn is in the room. He's going to kill me for this. This has been he's popped out. He was here before. This was a piece of work that Finn developed for us. So really important, this is a research dashboard for internal use for us to talk with our farmers and demonstrate the capabilities that we're building. This is not an app, this is not commercially available, this is a little piece of work that we've been doing for our internal purposes. But what we've been able to do is to bring in some visualisations around the yield, some of the key features behind the yield, and sorry, it's really small on this screen, I can't see, and I don't, okay, and some of the weather data that's come from the deep herd sites. Thank you very much, whoever did that. That's great. Now I can't make it go forward. It's not working. I did press play. The tech never works for the tech people. There we go. Great. It's not just you, it's me. The second part of the dashboard is looking at the yield profitability components. So here we have the average yield map in the scales of green. Oh, look, it's big down here. Excellent. The average yield map, so we can look at a scale, and yes, I think Alice yesterday was talking about colour schemes. So we want red, green, orange, we want purple, blue, we want intensity. So we're trying a variation on all of those. So we can look at average yield across time. We can look at the coefficient of variation. So this is the stability of the yield over time. And then we can look at dividing the paddock up into areas of very high, consistently high yield, and then which is in the dark green, and consistently low yield, which is in the orange in this case, if you're not colourblind, and then the light green and the red are those areas that flip-flop over time. We've tried to put in some really, really basic entrance into the profitability components. So on the left here, we've got a sliding scale around cost of production and farm gate price for whatever you're working on. There's lots of space here for all of the other components, but this is the first step into this space. The reason for having the profitability component is if you're going to start thinking about using data for decisions, there's a whole bunch of things that you might consider, but I think that the thinking about how much dollars per hectare you're going to get in return for whatever you're working on is a good unifying factor. And there's opportunities to look at a frequency of the profit, and all of these things can be adjusted. And then the final component is looking at probability of exceedance. So this is based on the yield stability, and we can look at the past performance in the paddock to think about what the probability is of achieving a particular yield, regardless of what we know about the weather going forward. But what's the probability based on past history? And then if you have that piece of information at the beginning of the season, you know what kind of decile you're going into, you know how much capital you've got behind you to think about, what am I going to put in for my program in this year? So what I wanted to go to next is I'm going to get Clint to come up and get him to talk about a case study that we've done on his farm. We ran 6 trials on his farm, and anyone that's run any trials on your farm will know you need to do 6 to get a good one. But come up, Clint, and maybe you can talk about what you've been doing with the trial and how that's worked for you.
I've made the step, Bob, so I'm winning straight up. No, I'd just like to thank Julia and the Drought Hub for allowing us to be a part of the trial, and just like to firstly say in the decision making to be a part of it, we looked at what might be encompassed and what effort we'd have to put in, and the first win we got out of it was it give me a kick and made me go and get all my data out, and it wasn't just a thing that crashed the GPS computer at midnight at an inappropriate time, that we could actually get it out, get it into a platform and get some use out of it. And we worked out the only data we were actually using was our soil test results, even though we've been collecting yield data, spray data, weed data for, I don't know, God knows how many years. So that was the first win. So that was really good. And as the project's sort of progressed, this part of this trial is the most exciting part for us. So it's always been a bit of a misnomer for me, is that we, as farmers, will go through a budget, we'll put our business through financial ticks and balances, we'll even give it a health check. Some of us even give us a succession planning check once a year, and we'll go through all of that. And yet we'll go out and we'll select a variety, we'll select a chemical, we'll select a fertiliser base rate, and we'll go farming. But we don't have an embedded check inside our business that checks that the management systems that we're putting in place are actually working. So this trial system, hopefully, it looks like it'll be designed to sit inside our PA system and just happen autonomously as we go along. So the seeder and the operator will just put these trials in as we go along, and they'll be harvested, analysed, and we'll have the results to go over and review at budget or at any time prior to the next season to make decisions on ground truth, what we're trying to do, etc., etc. So this is one of the P trials that we put in during the year. Just one thing I want to say, as a farmer, we wear our hearts on our sleeves. So we look at management decisions we make. We're very, very happy with visual responses, and we'll keep going back to all those wins that we've had years ago. We'll always remember those. Sometimes the wins we can't see, so we don't actually, if we don't have some way of checking them, we don't know they're actually there, and we might be actually giving up some opportunity. Conversely, we actually don't like, or myself, I don't like acknowledging that I'm making a mistake. So if I think something in my heart is a benefit to my business, I'll keep doing it, even though the evidence might actually be telling me that, no, we should pull back, we've got to look at something different. So this takes that, but sort of farming out of my business, and it'll be all sort of scientific based and allow us to make decisions going forward. So it's pretty self-explanatory with the map rates. Obviously, this one is it's a very good one for a farmer because there was a visual response to the trial. And I'll get Julia to come back and go through all the details of the trial.
Thanks, Clint. Oh, yep, there we go. So you can see where we've laid out the trial here. Clint, you've got some really well-performing headland parts. Oh, now I've done it. How do I go back? The red one. Thank you, Bindi. Tech support on hand. Got some really high-performing headlands here at either end, and we've placed the trial across this section here that we can see there's pretty variable yield in that particular paddock. We didn't have a lot of historical yield for this paddock because it's been in pasture for quite a long time, and there was an oat crop in the year before this one, but there was some really nice response, which probably is also because it hasn't been cropped. This was the layout, and you can see the yield response, and you can see those nil strips going through the paddock. And then we've got a response map where you can see at this end, you can see that really strong response. Ideally, this should be kilograms per kilograms of P, but this is what we've got at the moment. And then from the analysis that we're doing, we can then project the treatment across the whole paddock. So we can say, based on the relationship between the spatial response to the yield and the treatment response, we can infer what a particular response will be across the whole paddock. So this is if we put the 0 across the whole paddock, 15, 30 and 60, the pattern for yield is going to look the same, but we've done it as a calculation of profit. So you can see that this end down here is looking really nice and the rest of it is not looking great. The background rate for this particular paddock is at 40, so it's in between these two here. And so then that gives the opportunity for Clint to think about, okay, do I want to continue to put my fertiliser into those two headland areas, or do I want to investigate a little bit more about what's happening in this part of the paddock, do some soil tests and do a few more tests and follow up and think about what we might do in that space. And that often comes back to where do I want to spend my money and where do I want to go with the PA approach. So I guess with the wrap up, what I wanted to, this is a little Dorothy Dixer Q&A for Clint, but and maybe you've touched on this a little bit, but you know, how are you using these maps and trials in your business?
Yeah, it's been the interesting part of the process is sitting down and trying to work out is less more, or do we need more of more to make the right decisions? So trying to decide on what maps, what analysis and maps overlays are relevant to the decisions we want to make is an ongoing process. But I think just trying to get this right in my head. The ones that'll become the most important, I think, going forward for us, because we've just started to see our land values increase. So we've seen areas on the trial that 5 or 6 years ago, we might have said, well, we've got to take them out of production because we're just not making any money out of them. But actually now we can actually start thinking about maybe we can actually go deeper and look at trying to fix those areas. So yeah, so I reckon this will give us analysis of those areas, but we'll also be able to look at, you know, what kind of impact we'll have on our program and on our farming system before we actually have to go and invest and put diesel on the ground and spend money. So I think it's going to be, yeah, really important.
That's great. And in the interest of time, because I'm looking at Julianne, who's going to get a little bit nervous. Okay, great. So thanks for that, Clint, and you'll see some of our notes up there as well. But I did want to also just talk about some of the other things that we've got on the go in the centre. So thank you so much, Mick, for being the poster child, literally, for this one. If there was a better picture of me, I would have put it on there. But so the on-farm experimentation, there's copies on the table over there, and we have them on the CCDM table, which I think have all been packed up. The work that we've done in the on-farm experimentation project and in the Drought Hub and from the state government investment through Science Agribusiness Connect has led into the Food Agility Agri Analytics Hub program, where we're building a lot more of the capability that you've seen here, and working with NGIS Australia and Farmanco and DPIRD to build some more decision support for the future. And also just a little plug for the Aggie program. We are in the CCDM world-leading best practice experimental design and analysis for OFE trials, including categoric trials. And I'm going to leave on my acknowledgement page, but thank you, Arnold, who's in the room somewhere. I saw him. There he is. Arnold's been a driving force behind the analytics development, so thank you.